Have you ever had your credit card stolen? It sucks. It's a terrible experience. But do you know who else it's a terrible experience for? For the issuer who gave you that card, and for the merchant who just had goods bought fraudulently. Today we're going to talk about how card payments work at a very high level, and then talk about why network tokens exist, and finally how merchants can get access to them using VGS. You are a customer. You have a card number. Here, there's a little customer. This customer goes onto a merchant's website. They give this card number to that merchant. This merchant then sends that card number over to a processor or a PSP, payment service provider, and then we'll send it over to the network. That's going to be typically Visa, MasterCard, Amex, Discover, and then finally over to the bank, or to, we'll call them the issuer. And at the end of this, you expect to receive goods in the mail, or you expect to receive access to some online streaming service, or you would expect somebody to deliver food to your house. This is how every transaction with e-commerce works today when it's card-based. So what is the issue? This seems like it works pretty well. I know that I'm like there's other players who can be involved here. Again, high level. How does the issuer know that this was you who performed this payment? Let's play out an experience. Let's say that a hacker gets access to that card number. So they hack into the merchant's environment, and then they steal that card. This is the hacker. So this hacker also gets access to that card number, but then they send it over to a different merchant. So here's a new merchant that they are giving that card number to, the same card number that's in your wallet. And then it goes over to another PSP, to a different PSP, still goes over to the Visa, MasterCard, Amex, Discover, and then finally to the same issuer. What just happened is this thief has access to your bank account through that card number. That's a huge problem for you, that's a huge problem for the bank, and that's a huge problem for the merchant. Because this merchant, as soon as you see that charge on your credit card, you're going to call up that merchant and say, I didn't make that payment, and then the issuer and the networks and the merchants have to go through that refund process. At this stage, there's no way of knowing if they have access to all of the card information that merchant one had. And that includes card number, expiry date, CVV, potentially your zip code, and then any other information. There are a few ways that the networks and the issuers and the merchants have partnered together to solve this problem. One of the ways that we're going to be talking about today is network tokens. Let's say you have, here you are, you have your card number, 4111. This goes over to the merchant. Here's the merchant, a beautiful little drawing. And that card number, traditionally, you would send the actual card number over to the PSP, but we're not going to do that. The first thing that they can do is they can issue a network token for that card number. So that goes over to VGS. VGS reaches out to the network to get access to a network token. This network token will be unique to this merchant. What this means is that Visa, MasterCard, Amex, Discover, they will return a new value, a new 16-digit number. It still represents that bank account. It can still be used to charge that bank account, but only for this merchant. So here we'll say 4000. So this is the network token number. So this value gets sent over to the PSP, and then the PSP sends it over to Visa, MasterCard, Amex, Discover, and then they say, this is a network token for this merchant. This makes sense. And I will share that value over to the issuer. So the issuer and the network are confident that this value was not stolen, and because it is being used at this merchant. Let's go back to the first example. This fraudster stole all of the values from this merchant. They can take those values and they can use them at merchant 2, 3, 4. They have free reign with those card numbers. If they steal the network tokens, they cannot be used at other merchants, because this is the way that Visa, MasterCard, Amex, and Discover are ensuring that that token is only used for that one merchant. So now let's go a layer deeper with this process. The customer has given their card number over to the merchant. The merchant has generated a network token. The difference comes if it is a customer-initiated transaction. It is not merchant-initiated. An example would be you're shopping late at night and you decide to buy a purse, or you're ordering food and you want it delivered to your house. This is you pressing a button and having something happen at the merchant side so that you get your goods. The merchant in this case will reach out to VGS and generate a cryptogram with the networks. The networks require that you provide a network token value and the amount that is for and the currency. And what this does is it pre-validates the payment that's about to happen with that network token. So you have the network token, in a customer-initiated transaction flow, it goes over to the Visa, MasterCard, Amex Discover. They will give back a cryptogram. And a cryptogram and the network token are sent to the PSP. The PSP forwards that to the network. The network will then validate that and ensure that this is a transaction that they are expecting. And then they will forward the payment onto the issuer for authorization. This is another level of validation that the networks have added into this network tokenization process so that they're sure when the amount that is being charged is going to change, that it's being validated before they let that transaction go through. So as a merchant, you want to be able to trust everybody on this side of the fence, and everybody on this side of the fence wants to be able to trust this consumer. The best way to ensure that you can trust that consumer is to link the consumer to the merchant and have them pre-validate anytime it's a strange payment. It's an unexpected payment, customer initiated. One day you might spend $1, the next day you might spend $1,000 at a merchant. The network has developed tools so that they can link merchants to consumers and they can validate transactions before they happen. Now, the real value to the merchant is threefold. You have higher authorization rates because these are trusted payments. You have a lower interchange rate. You have a lower processing cost, so the merchant is keeping more of the money that is being paid to them. And the other thing about network tokens is when there is an update to that account or to the network token, VGS is going to funnel those updates to the merchant. So then they can always keep those credentials up to date. So what this means in practice is when that card expires or when there's any update to that card, VGS is going to funnel you information to the underlying network token so that you can still process payments with that value. This puts more power back into the merchant's hands so that they have control over their own destiny when it comes to their payment processing.